Hey guys, welcome to Red 50. Thank you for tuning into another video. If you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. So today we've got some exciting news with the new S650 Mustang, which will be the 7th generation of this Mustang. So early in the year, we saw a lot of spy shots being leaked for the S650 Mustang. Of course, the spy shots were heavily camouflaged, so it was very difficult to tell what it was going to look like. All we could tell that it was kind of similar to the S550 Mustang, which we weren't all that excited about, but still, it's a new Mustang, and we tried to kind of envision what it was going to look like. We were hoping that Ford was going to unveil something in April 2022 because that's when Mustang's birthday is, but of course that did not happen. However, Ford did come out and said they're officially going to be revealing the brand new S650 Mustang at the Detroit Auto Show, which is going to take place on September the 14th. I am also going to be going to the Detroit Auto Show next month for their media day, so I am very excited that my channel is going to be bringing you some exclusive footage, the coverage with the S650 Mustang. We're going to be taking a look at obviously the exterior, looking at the interior, what has improved from the S550 Mustang, and maybe even discuss some of the engine options that will be different than what the S550 Mustang offers. I'll see if I can get some interviews with some of the product specialists. So all in all, it's going to be really exciting to be covering the S650 Mustang. I'm very excited to be going there and can't wait to bring all the latest footage for you guys. Now, as we're getting closer and closer to the official launch of the S650 Mustang, we are hearing a lot more rumors and speculation that are popping up. One of the interesting ones is that we actually finally have someone taking the spy shots and getting a 3D render based on the spy shots and some images leaked. So we finally have somewhat of an early leak for the S650 Mustang. So let's take a look at it and I'll give you my thoughts and let's see what it's really going to be looking like. And of course, we're going to pick the red one because if I ever get it, it's going to be the race red one. Alright guys, so this is going to be the new S650 Mustang based on this render. This render is basically coming from all the spy shots. This artist goes by the name Chaz Cron, has been pretty accurate. So I want to give a huge thanks to him. He's done Corvette renders and S550 Mustang, which ended up being very close to the official thing. So I want to say based on what we see in the spy shots and what we have here, this is pretty much going to be what we're going to get with the new S650 Mustang. I'll be comparing this render to the S550 Mustang as well, but for now, let's discuss the S650 Mustang alone, and then we'll do a comparison later in the video. Alright, so right off the bat, it looks very similar to the S550 Mustang, which we have kind of known from the spy shots, although the rear end we cannot see from these shots, but maybe that's going to be a lot different than what we're seeing on the front. But the front looks very close to the S550 Mustang. I do like what they have done with the headlights. We've got 3 LEDs now instead of the tri-bar design that they had previously. And I wonder if they're going to be sequential as well, because that design language is kind of copied from the Mustang Mach-E, which does have sequential front lights. So it's going to be really cool to have sequential tri-bar tail lights, but also the headlights as well, kind of like what Audis have been doing recently. I don't know what trim this really is, but if you look at the hood scoop, I kind of like it. It's different than what we have seen from S550. This one kind of goes back to the New Edge Mustangs, which had a hood scoop, or I mean that was fake hood scoop, kind of similar to this one. So I do like the design on this hood scoop. I think it's going to be really aggressive in person. Okay, so now let's talk about the front fascia. I feel like I'm not a huge fan of this front fascia. It's got a lot more boxier than what we're used to with the S550 Mustang. This kind of reminds me of a Dodge Charger, which isn't a compliment really. I know S197 had that boxy looking design, which worked well because they look like a true muscle car, but then S550 kind of moved towards the European German styling, which we all kind of grew to love. And if Ford is reverting back to the boxy styling, I have to see it in person. I mean, based on this, I'm not a huge fan of it, but maybe in person it looks a lot more aggressive. But at least based on these renders, it looks a little kind of off because you have a German kind of flowy body style going on with a really boxy front end. I don't know how that's really going to play out in person. The lower front grille looks a little bit aggressive, especially on the sides where it's got some fangs coming out that are black accent right now. Although it's interesting, I do not see any fog lights. I wonder if they're gonna implement the fog lights into the headlights, or this is just a base model that does not come with the fog light. But either way, I think it needs something at the bottom for it to really, right now it just feels a little incomplete to me. Alright, so now that we know what the S650 Mustang is potentially going to look like, I want to be able to compare it to the S550 Mustang to see how much of a difference it really looks like, and whether I'm a fan of the S550 Mustang or the S650 Mustang, bias aside of course. Okay, so we've got the S550 Mustang next to the S650 Mustang's render. S550 is obviously the current Mustang generation, and the 7th generation will be the S650 Mustang. So right off the bat, you can see there's some pretty big differences, and I have to say, even though I've gotten used to having the dual hood vents, I kind of like what the S650 Mustang render is doing by going with the hood scoop. I think it'll look a lot more aggressive than just the hood vents. I have to say, I also like the headlight design on the new S650 Mustang. It's got the 3 headlights going on, which probably will be sequential, kind of like Mustang Mach-E, and I think it's going to look very cool compared to what we are used to seeing on the S550 Mustang. However, I think that there are still things that S550 Mustang is doing better than the S650. If you look at the hood line, that's personally my favorite because the lines from the hood carry all the way to the fangs in the front grille, which looks very European, where the lines kind of all flow together. If you look at the S650 Mustang, it doesn't really have any lines flowing in, just hard lines. There's no body that's like body line that are just flowing together. Aside from that, I think the front fascia overall, you can see it looks very boxy on the S650 Mustang, where the S550 Mustang has the right amount of, some boxiness, but also it has some curves and just angles that make it look a lot more aggressive. Right off the bat, you can see the S650 right now does not look all that aggressive compared to the S550 Mustang. These are overall some of the smaller differences that I've noticed between both renders. I think the big thing here is that it looks a lot like the S550 Mustang. It's almost like a mild refresh of the S550, even though it's going to be a new generation. It doesn't feel like it because if you look at both of them side by side, they kind of look like almost similar cars. If you put the 2015 Mustang next to the 2018 Mustang, the overall body language for the cars are pretty similar. Of course, they have their new front fascia, but overall, it's almost the same car. And I wonder if Ford is doing that just to introduce, because S550 Mustang has been out for almost 8 years, so they want to get something out, but they're not ready to electrify the Mustang just yet. So obviously, as we know, that the Dodge is going to be doing the EV muscle, so the Challengers and Chargers are going to get the electrification. So maybe Ford wants to do it, but it wants to still capture the V8 buyer, so it's still going to have a V8 under the hood, and maybe mid-cycle, like 26 or 2027, is when they will introduce full-on EV platform for the Mustang. So maybe Ford does not want to put too much into R&D of developing a new body, new chassis, when they know eventually they will have to go electrification on the Mustang. I'm going to hold my final thoughts until I see the Mustang in person, and that will be at the Detroit Auto Show next month. Until then, I want to say it looks like a S550 Mustang, but I do want to be proven wrong, and hopefully it's a lot more aggressive than what these renders are having us believe. If you like this video, make sure to smash that like button and comment below what are your thoughts on the new S650 Mustang. And be sure to subscribe to Red 50 as I'll bring you some exclusive footage for the S650 Mustang.